If you're building a SaaS and wondering how to grow it, you're in the right video. In today's video, we're going to talk about how to grow your SaaS using LinkedIn Outreach. Before we jump right into it, let's talk about the difference between inbound marketing and outbound marketing. To put it simply, inbound marketing is when you try to attract your users without directly selling your product. Instead, you'll provide valuable content to them, like YouTube videos, like I'm recording right now, or blog posts, or even free source code repositories. Since you're building a real relationship with your potential users, you know that some of them will eventually use your product if they need it later on. Although inbound marketing can be efficient, it's also kind of a passive strategy. You're publishing content and you're waiting for customers to come. This also means you don't really have control over the customers you'll get, and it could be hard to scale, especially at the beginning, because it will depend on the audience you have. For example, you only are a few subscribers on this channel, so I'm limited by my audience. That being said, you can help me by clicking the subscribe button below. Now let's talk about outbound marketing. You can see outbound marketing as trying to directly reach out to your customers and selling your product to them. This includes display ads, billboards, cold email, or even LinkedIn outreach, and we'll talk about the latter in this video. The main strength of outbound marketing is you have more control and you can scale those strategies and automate them over time. I'm not saying inbound marketing can't scale, but it's definitely harder to scale a YouTube channel than just automating an emailing campaign. And that being said, I'm not saying you must choose between the two of them. Instead, you should think about mixing them to use both strategies. We'll talk about how to mix those strategies in another video, so feel free to subscribe so you don't miss it later. Enough talking, let's jump right into it. So basically, when you're thinking about outbound marketing campaigns, you must think about it as a funnel. So the very first step for us will be to define a persona. To find some leads, we can try to reach out. For example, in my case at Cobol.io, I try to find people who love Next.js because Cobol.io integrates well with Next.js and React, and I try to find at least TypeScript developers. But as we'll see in this video, the persona really depends on your product, and you can add more constraints to a particular campaigns. For example, you could say, okay, my targeted audience is only speaking French or English, so you can add many criteria to your leads. So the very first step will be to start with a bunch of leads you have, and then you'll try to reach out to them to qualify them. So in our case, we'll send them a message, for example, and then some of them will be qualified. What I call qualified leads are leads that can use your product. For example, sometimes I try to target Next.js developers and people have that skill in their profile, but when I reach out to them, either they don't want to build a SaaS, so they won't use Cobol, or they don't use Next.js, instead they use another language like Python, and at this stage Cobol is not really adapted to Python, so those leads are disqualified. When you have your qualified leads, you'll try to transform them into users. So it could be using sales call, messages, or by redirecting them to your landing page or anything, but your goal will be to convert them as users. Once they use your product, it could be for free with a free trial or something like that, you'll try to transform them as customers. In some rare cases, maybe users equal customers because you have a paid product and you don't provide free plans, but more often we offer free plans to our users. The reason why I'm showing you this diagram is because it's very important to understand this is a funnel, which means the more users you have at the beginning of the funnel, the more users you'll get at the end of the funnel. And this is also why at some point we'll need to automate our LinkedIn or any outreach campaigns, because if we look at some statistics here, for example, using LinkedIn, you can send about 200 connections per week on LinkedIn. So let's say now 30% of those connections will accept actually to connect with you. This is a quite realistic number actually, because most people are not really active on LinkedIn. most people don't care about connections and things like that. And many of them just are dead profiles. So 30% of acceptance is something quite realistic. Then it means 60 people out of 200 will receive a message from you. Let's say your message is really well crafted and really well targeted, so 50% of them will answer your message. You'll get only 30 people answering you. In the end, let's say you're a really good salesman and 30 of them will try to use your product. It means this week you'll get 9 new users. So 9 new users can seem a lot or a few, but also don't forget that those 9 users will have to be converted as customers later on. So by looking at real numbers like these, you can see that you need to send a lot of connections to only get a few customers. That being said, 9 new users per week can sound a few, but when you start a startup, every single new user is important. And keep in mind that most SaaS developers won't even get their first users. So having 9 new users per week is the guarantee of going further and improving your SaaS over time. So if you want to grow your SaaS, this is definitely the kind of strategy you have to adopt, because it will help you to get more users, get more feedback, and improve your product. And eventually you'll get your first paid members thanks to this kind of funnel. So now let's see how we can apply those steps to our LinkedIn Outreach campaign. So the first thing we're going to do is we'll have to find our leads. To do so, we'll use LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Sales Navigator is part of the Pro subscription of LinkedIn, but if you don't have it, you can still use the casual LinkedIn search. It will work for your use case, although it's less powerful. Then we'll use another tool named Walaxy to add our leads to a list. And with the same tool, we'll be able to define a LinkedIn campaign and define some messages we'll automatically send to our leads. That being said, we also could have used another strategy for emailing campaign. For example, we could have used the same tools to find our prospect and add them to a list, and then we could have used other tools to enrich their profiles with their emails and start an emailing campaign automatically. However, I won't cover those tools in this video. If you want me to cover those tools in the next video, feel free to leave a comment below and I will be happy to record it. So let's jump right into it. The first thing you're going to do is to install this tool named Walaxy. You'll go to walaxy.com and register for free, and then you'll get invited to download their Chrome extension. Once you have their Chrome extension, you'll be all set to get started. Then what we'll do is we'll go on LinkedIn and click on Sales Navigator. If you don't have Sales Navigator, again, it's because you don't have the Pro plan. So if you don't want to upgrade to a Pro plan, you can use the normal search bar, although it will be less powerful. But I won't show it in this video. So I will go to Sales Navigator. Here my LinkedIn is in French, but I guess it's easy enough to understand even if yours is in English, for example. So I will open the advanced filter, and here we'll start defining our persona. So for example, in my case, something which is important for me is to find some Next.js developers. So I will find Next.js here, and I will see how many leads I can get. Here I can get 340,000 leads, so this is huge. So I will try to filter but a bit more my persona. Something important you may want at first is to target by country. So for example, here I want only French people. Okay, so now we have a fewer leads, only 8.5 thousand. Just to make sure, I will only target people who speak French. But in your case, you may want to target English-speaking people. And boom, we go down to 6,000 leads. This is decent, but given that I can only send 200 connection requests per week, this is still a lot. So I will add some filters. Let's say I want, for example, to target people who are only junior developers. So I will select between 1 and 2 years of professional experience. And boom, now I have 2,000 leads. This is even better for my campaign. I won't go over all the filters you have here because it really depends on your business, but I really suggest you go over them and try to find the right persona and the right target given the product you're trying to sell. Now we have our leads. What we'll have to do is to import them in Wallaxy to have a list of leads. So I will just open the Wallaxy extension here and I will create a new list. So I will name it Next.js French Developers. I will create the list and I will select the number of leads to import. Then I'll click on confirm. And now Wallaxy will start importing all my leads automatically. So I can still open Wallaxy and I can go to prospects or leads and find my new list here that will be increasing over time. As you can see, we already scanned 25 leads and imported one. The good thing about Wallaxy is it won't import your duplicates. So what you can do, like me, is to create many different lists. So for example, I can create a list for Next.js developers, another for TypeScript developers, another for Vue.js developers. And that way I will be able to create some very specific and targeted campaigns based on my leads profiles. So here I stopped the process, but let's say I imported all my leads. The next step will be to create a campaign. Let's go to the campaign section and click on Start a Campaign. Personally, I like to send an invite and 2 messages, but you can try all different campaigns you want. So you can name it, so let's say demo, YouTube, and now we'll import the leads from our list. So let's select the list we just created and import all prospects. Now you have the choice to add or not an invite node. Personally, I haven't seen any major difference for my target audience between sending a note and not sending it. But you may want to try both, so you can decide which one is better. So here I won't add a note. And then you can decide how many days to wait before sending the first message. Since I didn't add a note, I won't wait until the first message and I will send it right away. So now the goal is to send a catchy message. So here the message will really depend on your targeted audience and your product and the way you want to drive your sales. A message I tried recently that worked pretty well is this one for developers. So it goes like this: a first name, like if it was a variable, and then I use the right variable, which will actually display the real name, and I say, just kidding, I'm not a recruiter. How are you doing? Are you planning to launch a SaaS anytime soon? Because at Cobalt.io we help developers to launch their SaaS 10 times faster. So I'm willing to find people who want to launch a SaaS to help them to launch faster. But here it's up to you. You have to find your own messages. You have to test many messages and find the one that works best with your audience. Let's say I'm happy with that message. I can confirm and go to the next step. The next step will be to send the second message. And to do so, we'll maybe wait for 5 days and just send a gentle reminder like, hey, first name, you must be busy. Let me know if I can help with anything regarding launching a SaaS. But my English is not perfect, so this is definitely not the kind of message you want to use, but you can send your second message after a few days. Then you'll confirm it. You have to go over a verification step, and boom, my campaign is up and running. So now I will pause it right away because I don't want those users to receive a message from me, but I can show you what kind of analytics you'll get on a real campaign. So here is how it looks when you have a real campaign with real data. You can view your acceptance rate, your response rate, and people will start answering you on LinkedIn, and your goal at this step will be to talk with them and try to sell your product as you want to do it. That's all for this video, guys. If you want more information about the messages or the hooks I'm using to grow my business, let me know in the comments below and I will record a video for it. Something I wanted to say is I'm not sponsored at all by the tools I shown you in this video. As you may know, I'm the founder of Cobalt.io, which helps you to launch your SaaS 10 times faster by adding authentication, permission, and payment to any SaaS application in 10 minutes. So if you're building a SaaS with Next.js, React, React or TypeScript in general, feel free to check it out because it's free to get started and you'll save a ton of time. If you liked this video, guys, feel free to leave a comment below and smash the like button. This will help the channel and you won't miss any new video. I see you in the next video, and in the meantime, keep shipping, guys. Bye.